My name is George van Beek. My wife Teresa and I have been the managers here at Elsa's Kopje for 18 months now. Elsa's Kopje in Meru National Park in central northern Kenya, which is where we are here, is one of the sort of really special properties in East Africa. It's a very unique property, rich in history. This is where the Born Free story all started. The story dates back, well, the beginning of the story dates back to the 1950s, when George Adamson was warden here, and he was called out to deal with a lioness that was causing problems southeast of here. Went down to investigate and got charged by a lioness whom he had to shoot in self-defense, and then discovered that she was a lactating female protecting 3 very young cubs. And because they had been orphaned by human activity, he and his wife Joy decided that they couldn't just abandon them in the bush, and so they took them in and kept one little female whom they named Elsa. Her siblings were sent overseas to a zoo in Rotterdam. But their philosophy had always been that Elsa had been born free or born in the wild, and so should be returned into the wild, which they did with a degree of success. And the area is very rich in that whole sort of born free story. This is where the story sort of took place. The Born Free story that has today grown into a global phenomenon. The Born Free Foundation is involved in conservation projects around the world, and it has its beginnings right here in Meru National Park. And in fact, we have photographs of George with Elsa taken on this very hill here. So he used to spend a lot of time, from up here on the hill, you get really spectacular views out over the park in different directions. So he loved to bring her up here and get her to survey what would later become her domain. He used to spend a lot of time up here. And so the area is very rich in Born Free history. It's a very unique national park. The diversity of wildlife in Meru is quite unique. It's probably greater than most other conservation areas in East Africa. After George was killed by poachers in the late 1980s, August 1989, once the park had been secured and all the poaching that had ended George's life had been driven out, they actually reintroduced a lot of wildlife back into Meru, and it's been tremendously successful because the diversity, as I say, of wildlife in Meru as it is today is tremendous, including a very successful rhino breeding population up in the northwestern part of the park, where we have good numbers of both black and white, including very young calves of both species, so they are breeding very well. So that's been tremendously successful. Meru is also known as one of Kenya's top birding destinations. We're on the migration route of a number of species, so we get tremendous diversity of bird life coming through Meru at different times of the year. So it really is a very special park.